Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Coffee Break. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that is very, very important. Work-life balance. Or as Mr. Amazon himself, the loved and the hated, Jeff Bezos calls it, work-life harmony. And there's an important distinction there that I want to discuss today in this very, very quick video. And it is, what does that mean, number one, and how can we apply that to our lives, right? How can we apply it to our lives? And I want to see if you disagree or agree with him. And with that, let's dive into this week's video. So today marks almost exactly a month since I started my new job, and I have absolutely loved it, but it's brought about a big conversation, a very big internal battle in me in terms of how I'm managing my time and bringing work into my personal life. It's something a lot of us struggle with, so I wanted to address it in today's video and really try and dive into some of the reasons why we may consider working more at some times of our lives or working less in some times of our lives. Work is such an interesting part of our lives. It brings us purpose, it brings us joy, but also a lot of stress and anxiety, and it takes up nearly a third of our time here on planet Earth. Our lifestyle, our family life, our friends, everything needs to have the equation of work included. With how much time we devote to work, you would one, hope that you enjoy it, and two, hope that you have the energy to not only be present at work, but be present in all the other aspects, all the other pillars in your life. Some people like to call this work-life balance. Instead, I like to call it something that Mr. Bezos, the king of work himself, labeled it. He called it work-life harmony. And there's a very, very important distinction there. He calls work-life balance a quote-unquote debilitating phrase. This is such a contrary opinion. It seems everywhere you look you see the conversation about being healthy at home and separating tasks and being fully present in every bucket or pillar of our lives. Instead, Jeff Bezos thinks of work-life balance, or as he calls it, work-life harmony, as being a constant adjustment, a circle that you're constantly moving throughout your life, adjusting, tuning to bring the optimal performance and happiness in your own life. And as much as we like to think Mr. Bezos is a workaholic, he lives actually a very balanced lifestyle. He has breakfast with his kids in the morning before work and sets aside time for exercising, all whilst managing Amazon and all his other businesses. He even sets aside time for dishes in the evening. However, it's easy to forget what got him there. You see, that's why this concept of work-life harmony is so interesting. We think of people like Bezos and entrepreneurs like him or successful people in our lives, and we think about how they have managed their lives and managed their energy. And a lot of them worked tirelessly for years, decades in fact, to achieve their goals and to achieve the status and spot they're in today. Essentially, when Bezos advocates for work-life harmony, he's saying that there are seasons in life. Sometimes you have to work more, and grind, and hustle, and spend late nights to get what you want. And other times you need to over-index on rest and taking it easy, slowing things down and just healing. I think the nuance here is again determining what your ambition is, and reverse engineering that big someday goal that you have into the actions you're making in your everyday life. For Bezos, this meant 2 decades of work, non-stop. For Elon Musk, this means a lifetime of work actually continuing today. For Gary Vee, this means absolutely maximizing your time awake and maximizing your time off. All in, as he likes to say. Now, this is all fun to talk about and pontificate on, but really, the question is, now what? Now what do you do? And really, you need to ask yourself this question: where does my energy come from? And how do I manage my energy? You see, what determines so much of your energy is where you actually want your energy to be. Are the things you're doing interesting? Do they apply to some goals that you have? And once you figure that out, you can really focus on what actually drives that energy in your life. And focus, as I've talked about before, is super, super important as we go about our lives and framing our goals and creating the narrative that we want in our lives. So we all want different things in life. We all have different priorities. And for some of us right now, work is what they want to master in life. For others, it is family and friends. They want to over-index on their relationships. What we need to do really is determine what part of our lives gives us energy in this particular season of our lives. For some of us, that means, hey, I'm in my 30s. I just left a job, I'm transitioning. The season I am in right now is trying to focus on what my passions are. Maybe trying to find that relationship or find that yearning, that purpose to drive me towards, where I want to be when I'm 50. And for others, maybe they're 50 and what they really want is peace and stability. They don't want change. They want to focus in on their relationships and focus in on reveling in the work they've already done. The question here is understanding what season of your life you're in. That's the question, because that's where self-awareness comes into play, as always. For me, I know that my big someday goals, as Gary Keller calls it in his famous book, The One Thing, my big someday goals need me to over-index on this season of my life, being my 20s. I need to be devoted to building and tasting things and taking risks. This ultimately means I have to put more energy towards learning and growing and working. Otherwise, my actions won't be matching my ambition. So at the end of the day, this is a very, very simple concept, but at the same time, it's very, very difficult, right? That contradiction is interesting. So my question to you today, and I would love to hear, some of your thoughts in the comments, is how do you reconcile work-life balance? What does that mean to you? What does work-life harmony mean to you in the way that I have described it or that Bezos has described it? What works for you? What's your advice? Because honestly, I'm in this phase of my life, like I told you, where I'm adjusting to the working life, to the working world. I'm trying to figure out what works best for me as well. So I would love your advice. So please feel free to leave it down in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching these videos, guys. I just hit 300 subscribers. I am psyched. It is a small win, but a big win at the same time. And I'm glad I'm providing some value for all of you. So as always, guys, remember that every single day is a miracle. And tune in next time, for our next video.